Well, what's up, people? How are we doing? This is Zach with KT Outdoors, and it is time for the end of the month garden update. That's coming up next. It is officially May 1st. It is a super windy day, so we're trying out a new toy. I got a little lapel mic. I don't know, hopefully it works good. We're gonna head out where the wind is and we'll find out in a second if the sound is any better. But does anybody else's sheds look, like this? Look at that. We just got stuff everywhere because it's May 1st. We are coming up on the end of our frost cycle. Honestly, the forecast looks like we're probably okay, but technically our last frost date here is the 15th. So we're still on the edge of we could kind of go, but maybe not. But let's go take a walk around the garden. We'll see what's going on. We'll talk through a couple things that I'm thinking about doing that are coming up next. And yeah, stick around. Here we go. Okay, so we're gonna head up here. So most of you know, if you've watched any of my other videos, right now the chickens are in the back of that greenhouse area, and it is time for that to change. In fact, that's probably going to happen today. If I don't get it done during the day, then I will do it this evening. Excuse me. If for no reason other than their summer run looks like this, and this is why I've waited. But now those kochia weeds are plenty big enough. They'll go in there and they'll just absolutely trash those. This catmint's growing. There's all sorts of weeds and things in there for them to kind of mow down on. So, they'll be super stoked to get in here. I did have some extra seedlings. You can see them kind of down there that I didn't have a space for in the garden. So I just popped them in here. They've been growing for the last couple weeks. And now when the chickens come in, they will destroy them, guaranteed. And it'll be a food source for them, which is fine. Compost cage will get removed here as well since the chickens are coming in now. This is our native run with this chicken composting system. So we'll try that out. But yeah, this kochia weed is, look at that. It's just this massive, tall. But you will be dumbfounded. Just wait until later, after I put them in here, how crazy they're going to go to take care of all this stuff. But anyway, we lost some on the blackberry there. Let me turn around so you guys can see that a little bit better. We'll head over there. I think I had some frost kill on this blackberry. It's not looking so hot, but it is still alive, which is good. So let me turn the camera around. We'll look at it. Okay, so clearly there is some growth down at the base of that blackberry there, so that we know it is alive, which is always a good thing to see. I kind of push the envelope with blackberries here. If they get frosted, then they have some issues. So this is what I see, and I've tried my best to be really patient, but I think that I was, in general terms, right. This cane is very brown and crispy and crackly looking, and you'll see there's no new sprouts coming out of it. But these canes in here look a little bit kind of greener. They have kind of a red tinge to them, and you can see there's new leaves coming there. So that cane is still alive, which means it has a chance to bear some fruit. The rest of these, I'm not really sure what to expect. It's only the second year of this blackberry. So what's left to do here is trim off all of this certainly dead growth just to clean it up. And then we'll just wait and see what happens on the shoots that come off of these old canes from last year. I always love it when all of this stuff starts to grow up. So this is a Virginia creeper vine here that we've set to grow over this trellis system. And I wanted to film this right now before it really leaves out on us, because you can kind of see. So we have the fence that comes up to here, just kind of a simple fence. And then I just have a 2x4 header up there that's running back to kind of the framework around that little gate entry system there. And then I just put fence up in here, and the vine itself has just covered this whole structure. And so what that does is it ends up creating this complete living, breathing, air blowing through it, cooling sort of a shade structure for the chickens during the hottest part of the year, which is awesome. In fact, you can see it's kind of gonna cover the front too if we let it. So we'll have to see what happens there. I'm not sure that the boss is gonna be happy with green stuff growing above her fence, but maybe I'll be wrong. We'll see. Okay, so the ornamental beds are all coming in nice. I haven't even got in there with any preen yet, so those of you who've seen the preen video, it's really popular. I'll put a link up there if you haven't seen it yet. It's actually one of the reasons you should think about subscribing if you haven't, because it's so popular. They've monetized that particular video, which means YouTube is making money by running ads on that video, and not me, because I'm not monetized yet. I need 1,000 subscribers, people, so please help out. Thumbs up, subscribe, etc. But anyway, moving on. Fruit trees all coming in. Ornamental beds are looking really nice. I started to say the preen thing. I haven't even put any preen in them yet, but I'm noticing there's not a lot of weed growth yet. So maybe like a year's worth of preen helps knock down the potential weeds the following year, because the weeds didn't grow, which means the weeds didn't create seeds, which means there's not very many new seeds in the ground. Plus my wife has been in there a couple times and de-weeded it, so could be good. But we'll see. I'll probably still put some in there at some point just to be safe, but it's kind of interesting to me that I don't see lots of weeds growing everywhere, which is craziness. The cherries are going to definitely, look at that. Do you know what that means, people? Do you know what that means? That means cherry season is coming, and it's gonna be nuts. And right now we're finding out if this microphone is any good, because if not, you can't hear me. Man, yeah, like I'm looking at this tree, and it is just absolutely loaded with potential fruit. We didn't have any killing frosts at the wrong time like we did last year, and it didn't fruit last year, so that's good. I am, however, a little bit concerned with this leaf structure. Like, look at, anybody knows anything about cherry trees and why their leaf veins would be looking like that? I got to do some more research myself, but I'm a tiny bit concerned. But the fruit is definitely there, and there's going to be a lot of it, it looks like. So we could have a bumper crop year finally after a couple years of not much harvest. Okay, so the back side of the formal garden here, we're in the middle of plant sale, yard sale stuff, so you're going to see some stuff in the background. It's stuff that's for the yard sale that we're running. Broccoli growing under there. Recently planted in some plugs of lettuce and arugula and some mustard greens in these beds, so they're all growing good. I had all kinds of plans for this space spring garden wise, and honestly, live and learn, right? I'm learning that what I have here so far is enough to keep me pretty busy. So I haven't quite planted this out the way that I had initially planned. If you watch the video on my garden planner, I had a lot more stuff happening in this space than what is actually here now. And that's fine, right? That's part of the learning process. Is I thought I would be able to do more. Life has taught me not so much, which is just fine. So anyway, this is the only bed of lettuce that we have harvested so far, and it has produced a pile of lettuce already just from these 3 rows of lettuce. We have some regular, just standard salad mix there. I think it's like a spring mix, like I bought it at Home Depot or the grocery store or something like that. And then from this point down is all Salanova lettuce, and you can see that, like, we just harvested a bunch this morning, so you can see the difference between some heads like these 2 here have not been harvested, or they were just harvested a couple days ago, and those 3 kind of out in the middle there have not been harvested at all yet. Neither have those 4 or 5 over there, but the ones across the back have. So it's a really intriguing plant. I like Salanova. I'm going to do a video specifically on how to harvest that stuff, so be watching for that. It's not out yet, but it's going to come soon, because I think I've figured out a trick that's even better than the way I learned from watching market gardeners harvest it. So I'll be sharing that later on. And then multi-sown beets are off to the races here. I think these are Pacemaker is the variety on these. So we've got that all going out in there. I actually used my new garden dibber that I built for that, which is fun. And then the rest of this bed is filled out with carrots, actually, which were just starting to sprout. I need to get a little bit of water on this today. It looks pretty dry, but there was some, there's some green growth right there. A little bit of carrot. There's a couple more now that I'm down here closer, and there. So they're starting to come. We just kind of scattered seed over the whole thing, so it should be like a big block planting of carrots there. Okay, and so now we're turning around to where things have just gone crazy. Like, these raised beds are just absolutely pumping out the produce right now. It's insane. Peas are starting to really take off. We had some cool-ish weather, which I know they appreciated. Arugula has gone crazy. We harvested, and then we harvested some more this morning. There's another cutting over there. Spinach is going nuts. Need to get in there and harvest some more of that. And then these herbs survived from planting last year, and they're going crazy. Strawberry bed has a little bit of cilantro in it. I'm gonna go this other side so that my body blocks the wind a little bit for us, actually. So the strawberry bed is going nuts. There's a little bit of cilantro in there. If anybody knows anything about strawberries, like, what is that? Like, why are they so yellow? I don't know if that's a disease or something in the soil. Like, I hit them with some fertilizer the other day. The plants look healthy other than that really pathetic looking color. So I need to do some research on that and try to figure it out. But if anybody knows, comment down below, like, what the heck is causing my strawberries to be yellow like that? It's just craziness. I added in some arugula down here on this bed. So in theory, I have arugula planted like 5 different places now. So we should be able to come and like cut, and get a couple days worth of harvest here, then go to another spot and just keep kind of stacking things up like that, which should be nice. I'm doing my best to keep this wind from getting on us. This cilantro is insane. All volunteer, self-sown, like literally like the seeds fell on the ground and I had cilantro plants, so they're going crazy. And we cut 4 huge bunches out of that today. Salanova over here, growing good, along with those peas. We've got a bunch of peas over here on this side. These are peas for shoots, so they're about ready to start being added to salad mixes. And then these are a snap pea variety, so they're finally starting to flower, so hopefully we'll get some snap peas here soon before the weather gets too terribly hot. And then I tucked in some lettuce extra that I had back there, and so it's growing just fine down there on the end. Over here we've got cabbages, some kale. Remember when that windstorm came through and it flipped over my trays and I had to pick up all of those trays off the ground and the seedlings all fell out? Well, I thought this was all cabbage, but that is not, and neither is that. Those are both kale. The rest looks like cabbage, so we'll see what kind of plants we get growing in here with all of this beautiful garlic. It's just growing like crazy, which is awesome to see. And then the kale bed here is growing like mad. There's some holdover kale from last year in there. So if you're wondering why some of them look a little different, that's why. They were completely flowered out this morning and we cut them all off and fed them to the rabbits and harvested a little bit. And then the bok choy has grown some amazingly huge leaves, but it's already doing what bok choy does and is bolting and flowering and going crazy. So we'll get in there and harvest those leaves while they still are kind of fresh and succulent looking down there, put them in some stir fries and things. But this is a super quick crop. Like, we're only May 1st and this is already basically done. Like, it needs to be harvested and used because it's just going to keep trying to flower now, and that's just kind of basically a sign that things are slowing down. And then over here in the main Salanova bed, our 5 varieties of Salanova are going crazy. And then we discovered while we were tending all of this that I planted asparagus in this bed last year and I thought that it just had not made it. And then we've got 4 asparagus plants popping up in these beds whipping around in the wind today. So we do actually have some asparagus in there, and we'll just have to see whether or not it's worth letting it continue to live there or we decide to do something else with it. I think it's safe to say somebody likes the greenhouse. So the greenhouse is kind of a mess right now because we're in the middle of a plant yard sale, and I tucked some things in here after the yard sale because of the wind, but we've got all kinds of tomato plants that we have available for folks to buy, some peppers, and just all sorts of different fun things, tomatillos, etc., etc., etc. So this space is starting to come together. Honestly, one of the huge things for me, especially this weekend with all of this wind, like this wind has been kind of brutal. It's been really nice to just feel how protected this space is, I guess is the right word. Like the wind always comes from the west here where we live, like not all the time obviously, but like 90% of the time I guess it feels like it comes from the west blowing to the east, which is kind of this direction. Well, this entire end of the greenhouse is sealed, all the way up to here. This is all boxed in, and so this side stays very wind free, like just completely awesome. But since we don't have the door on the back, you can see, looking at those grass plants down there, that the wind is just basically ripping through this tunnel on a very windy day like this that is kind of blowing that direction. So if we had the door up, which might just move this up in my priority list, if we had the door up, then this whole entire thing would be sealed off really nice on a windy day like this. And this entire space would be really, really protected, even though we haven't even finished the front yet. I mean, like, well, there's still walls to go up here. Like, we need to put up this little small wall over here and then figure out the door structure. But if we just had the barn door, that would really seal this space up nice. So I might have to bite the bullet and get that done.